Thank you, Bob. Welcome. This morning, it is gorgeous out there. What a day to be together in community. My name is Deborah Faust. I'm a member of this congregation, a member of the worship team committee and the lay associates, and also a facilitator for Soul Matters. And I'm thrilled to be here this morning. This church is a church where all are welcome, all beliefs, all faith traditions, if any, however you identify, whomever you love, all gender identities, your doubts and convictions, sorrows and joys. We are a community because of these things, because of you. If you're with us for the first time, welcome. We'd like to get to know you and know a little bit about you. So if you'd like to receive our newsletter, please fill out a form. They're located in the back of the church on the podium. And if you're, you can receive that link in the chat if you're with us online today. And I'm happy to say, for those of you online, glad you're with us. But we come together today in this church, which sits on Haudenosaunee ancestral lands. Haudenosaunee means people who build a house. So welcome to our house. And now for the chalice lighting.
We light our chalice this morning with words by Sam Trumbore. O light of life, be kindled again in our hearts as we meet together this morning to celebrate the joy of human community, seeking a wholeness that extends beyond ourselves.
Good morning. My name is John Camilleri. I'm the board president and member of various teams and committees in this church. Before I read the opening words, we have a guest today. We have the board president for the Unitarian Universalist Society of Oneonta, Stephanie Wardwell. So welcome. Our opening words this morning are by Kimberly Carlson. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there's a yearning, a call, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, which is a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so you began seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to possibilities of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home, welcome to worship. So please join us in singing our first hymn, which is number 134, Our World is One World. So please rise in body or in spirit.
Okay, get myself situated here. All righty. Well, John and I, am I on? Doesn't sound it, yeah. Am I okay? No. It's on the on switch. Yeah.
Be old school here for a second. Let me give you a wireless mic.
Hello? Can you hear me? Testing, testing.
Very good. Make this easy for you, Deborah.
Podium to hold on to. Don't put me out there alone. Is it too loud? A little less. How's that? Okay. Well, John and I are going to reflect today on why a sense of belonging and being in community is the foundation for a sense of well-being. When we have access to community space, like we have today, that allows us to show up and bring our whole self, we discover the the soulful healing that community can provide. And I want to suggest today that community is soulful medicine for many of us. And in an individualistic worldview, many health systems often overlook the social connection as a key factor in health outcomes. But the reality is, health is very social. And I want to share some brief findings from the 2023 Surgeon General's Advisory Report on the healing effects of social connection and community. The report indicates that human connection, community service, and a sense of belonging can change the definition of our health. I'm going to say that again. Human connection, community service, and a sense of belonging can change the definition of health. That's a powerful, powerful statement. And when I read that in the report, I literally dropped my pen and just meditated on it for a minute, you know. And the report also went on to state that 1 in 2 adults in America report experiencing loneliness and isolation. And some of the research was done before the pandemic. It turns out that the effects of loneliness and isolation increase the risk for chronic illness, depression, anxiety, and even premature death. The U.S. is experiencing, as we all know, record levels of depression and anxiety, and a deepening divide within families and communities. But what if the key to feeling a sense of well-being isn't just medication or therapy, but simply being with each other? Leaders in health and wellness are beginning to realize what many of you in this room right now know, which is community is soulful medicine. And that means that healing isn't just about going to a doctor, it's also about joining up with other people to share in purpose, belonging, and service to the greater good and the greater community. I want to share now like a personal example of community serving as soulful medicine. I'm already starting to get nervous just thinking about it. But I moved here 3 years ago to support one of my daughters with her journey as a single parent. But in the first month of being here, we had a falling out. I was brokenhearted, and in the next 9 months, I kept asking myself, what am I doing here? And I'm glad you're here, Lorraine, because Lorraine had to listen to me complain, what am I doing here? So thank you for putting up with me. It wasn't easy. But then I found this community and at UU Utica, and the cloud began to lift because community was the exact medicine I needed. I needed to have a sense of purpose, feel a sense of belonging, which this community did for me, and it heightened my sense of wanting to serve. I just wanted to be a part of this community and be of service. And I was healing through all the collective energy of all of you in this room. This may be what the Surgeon General's report implied when he said it can change the definition of our health. I didn't need medication or therapy. I just needed to be with you. So when we come together with a shared purpose, whether it's through worship, wellness activities, service, we're restoring trust and empathy in ways that are desperately needed, especially right now. And some people have asked me recently, what do you mean when you talk about collective healing? Collective healing is simply engaging in community together. And I've heard friends and families say, I need to get to a rally. I need to lift my spirits. The collective energy at a rally is supportive and healing for many of us. Service to the greater good of a community is a calling, but it is also an action step for healing collectively. Just think about that for a minute. We show up, we go home, we feel better, right? But attach that awareness that that's collective healing. And when we view health and healing as a collective responsibility, we recognize our well-being is deeply intertwined with the health of our community. And our ideas about health and healing change. Understanding that symbiotic relationship between our sense of well-being and the health of a community changes how we define our overall health. So now, if Jeff is around to put my slide up, I want to introduce you to the Blackfoot creation story and their use of the spider web as a model for connection, deep listening, and collective responsibility. And they did this in person. This was up in Canada. They actually had like 300 people doing the human spider web, which I thought was like wildly fun. But this is an amazing message. Whenever there's trouble or an emergency, one string of the web would vibrate, and this would signal the creator who would come to help. Man was told to pattern his life after the web so they could stay close together and help each other whenever there's a problem, anywhere on the web. Vibrations on the web symbolize a call to action as well as when to gather for celebrations. I love the concept of vibrations being used to monitor the needs of a community because us humans, well, all life form, we share collective energy. Because we share that energy, when I'm not feeling well, I can borrow calm from someone else in the room until I regain my balance. Many of you don't know this, but I have borrowed calm from many of you throughout the last couple years, right? But this is a good message, you know, to sense the vibrational energies within a community. There's a few things we need. We need to be well. We need to feel like we have a sense of well-being in our lives. We need to be awake, and we need to be aware so that we can respond to a call to action or a call to celebration. So I appreciate the 2023 Surgeon General's report because it's asking us to raise awareness about the benefits to our mind-body health when we simply belong to a community. And being in community is soulful medicine, and it can redefine health to encompass the multifaceted aspects of who we are. And in a world right now that is hungry for belonging and wholeness, community might be the most powerful medicine we have right now. So thank you for listening to me. And now John is going to reflect on a sense of belonging.
Thank you, Deb. That's fine. We can meditate and ponder on this for the rest of the service. So, there's an old saying that goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. It reminds us that life is not a solo journey, even though so much of our culture tells us otherwise. When we hurt, the world feels heavy. When our bodies or our hearts are broken, we need more than our individual resilience, we need each other. So today, let's briefly reflect together on something that sits at the very heart of our Unitarian Universalist tradition, the healing power of belonging. In our fast-paced world where loneliness and disconnection seem to creep into our lives, the need to feel seen, heard, and truly accepted becomes ever more vital. Research in neuroscience tells us something profound, that social exclusion or loneliness actually stimulates the same regions of the brain as does physical pain. So in other words, the ache of feeling left out or isolated is not just emotional, it's also tangible. And that matters deeply. This is one of many reminders that our well-being is intimately tied to our connection with others. But what does it truly mean to belong? So being part of a community is much more than just showing up, although that's a good place to start. Real belonging asks us to go deeper, to listen to one another without judgment, to build trust so that each person, regardless of their background, feels safe and valued. True belonging is about being accepted just as we are. As Brené Brown, a researcher and author, reminds us, belonging doesn't require you to change, it requires you to be who you are. So when we're welcomed and embraced just as we are, some of that pain begins to ease. Healing starts with simple words. You belong here, you are not alone, we will walk this road with you. Now, community obviously extends beyond the boundaries and walls of this church. Within spaces like this congregation, our stories and our grief are not only held but honored. Our joys are celebrated together. Through acts of kindness, attentive listening, simple rituals like the one we'll be doing shortly, things like that strengthens our connection to one another. It helps us to build bridges and connections in hard times. So those bridges strengthen us in hard times and amplify our happiness when things are going well. In the spirit of Unitarian Universalism, we affirm the interconnected web of all existence. Healing happens within that web, not in isolation, but side by side. It's a journey we undertake together. Belonging is central to healing here in our UU community. We value inclusion, acceptance, and uphold everyone's inherent worth and dignity. We're committed to fostering a space that welcomes diversity and respects every name, pronoun, and story. Here, everyone is heard, everyone belongs, and everyone is a valued member of the community. Let's be honest, we don't always get it right. We're human, mistakes happen. What matters most is our ongoing commitment to learning, growing, and supporting each other through the inevitable challenges of life. Healing in community often calls us to be open and vulnerable, to speak honestly, to listen attentively even when we disagree, and to show kindness, especially during tough times. So today, as we gather in this space, let's recommit ourselves to the work of belonging. Let's offer one another support and kindness, recognizing both the struggles and the celebrations that shape our lives. Through unity and compassion, we find strength and wholeness together. Okay. Excuse me. So we're going to start very simple, but I hope powerful, what I call a healing ritual. So here we have a bowl of water and stones. So we acknowledge that we acknowledge our burdens that we carry and the renewal we find together. So the stone and the water are our teachers. The stone represents our burdens, which are sometimes heavy and sometimes subtle. The water signifies release, flow, and renewal. How life gradually softens the rough edges of our challenges. So in a few moments, I'll invite you to come up, if you choose to, take a stone and gently place it in the water. As you take a stone, keep this in mind, hold it in your hand, feel its weight and shape. Think of a burden you carry, perhaps a worry, a grief, a weariness, or a challenge. Name it silently and let the stone represent it. So again, gently place the stone in the water. Watch how it sinks, how the water receives it without judgment. Folks online, if you have a burden you'd like to start to release, name it where you are, and at the end of the ritual here, I will place a stone in the water in your honor. Okay, so I invite anyone who wishes to come up, take a stone, name your burden silently, and release the stone into the water. And I'll place one final stone for burdens, griefs, concerns for the folks online and for anyone else here who has any additional unresolved grief or burdens. So look at the bowl now filled with stones and shimmering water. Each stone symbolizes a burden, yet no stone is isolated. So it is with us. No burden is yours alone. When the weight is too much, our community helps us to carry it. When grief feels too deep, our community sits together in silence, offering comfort and presence. When our joy breaks through, we hold it, our community amplifies it like ripples in the water. So we do not erase suffering, we hold it together. And in that holding, in community, we find healing. Let's take a slow, deep, cleansing breath, a release. Now we can move to singing our second hymn, which is number 325, Love Makes a Bridge.
Love makes a bridge from heart to heart and hand to hand. Finds a way when laws are blind and freedom banned. Love breaks the walls of language, gender, class, and age. Love gives us wings to slip the bars of every cage. Love lifts the hopes that force and fear have beaten down. Love breaks the chains and gives us strength to stand our ground. Love rings the bells of wanted birth and wedding day. Love guides the hands that promise more than words can say. Love makes a bridge that minds may shake yet not destroy. Love carries faith through life and death to endless joy.
And now we come to our offering. And just a shout out to those on Zoom that right after the offering is candles, our community candles. So think about what you'd like for us to put in, to light a candle for you today, and put it in the chat during this time of offering. The offering today is called Generosity of Spirit by Victoria Weinstein. The purpose of the church is to encourage all who gather there to grow more generous in spirit and in action. This is the great end of all the world's faith traditions, to bring the human being closer to the divine by acts of creation and compassion. We now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will support this self-supporting church and its many ministries. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. So it's time to extinguish the chalice. If you would please join me in extinguishing the chalice with the words printed within your order of service. Thank you, Carol. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. And now Don is going to share the closing words.
Thank you, Deb. Closing words by Robin F. Gray. As we prepare to depart and give voice to these hopes, may we know ourselves bound in community even while we are apart. May a passion for justice burn in our lives. May we carry the light of compassion in our hearts and in our every interaction. May we be whole in our devotion to truth and always carry the lamp of peace before us. Thank you.